Hello again and welcome to the Sess video show. Thank you for joining me today. Look, I got a few ideas now, finally, about The Walking Dead, episode 7, the season opener, where we come back to Glenn and Abe's death. I had to write down a few things to get my thoughts together so I can speak on this. Now, some of these things I've checked out a few other people, and some of these things have already been kind of addressed. They've given their points of views on it, but I'm going to talk at extent, I guess you could say, on what I think about this. Now, what did we actually see? What did we actually see in episode 7? We saw Glenn and Abe get their skulls bashed in, is what we seen. We saw two of our favorite characters go, and I gotta give it to Abe, man. If you're gonna go and you're gonna be a real badass, a real gangster, that's the way to go. You know, peace. I'm out, Abe. Thanks, man. The role was fun. I enjoyed your character. I enjoyed the show with you. Glenn, same thing. You were there from the beginning, and I'm not gonna lie. Weeks later now, going into 2 more episodes since the season start again. I miss Glenn. I miss Glenn. It took me a while to even let seeing Glenn go sink in. Although I knew it was coming, somewhere in there it was psychologically more effective on, I guess, somebody like me to see him go. Even though I knew it was coming, knowing it was coming made it even worse somehow. But it did, and man, Glenn, what he said to Maggie, I'll find you. He couldn't find her again. Oh, it was touching her heart. Oh, man. And then now this episode that just passed, we seeing Maggie deal with losing Glenn for the first time since the season opener. Oh man, I just feel it, man. I mean, it overshadowed Abe. Glenn's death overshadowed Abe. Some of us even forget that 2 people died that day. But anyway, Glenn, you'll be missed, brother. You'll be missed. You were a true badass. You'll be missed. But what we saw on another page of things was, for Negan eliminated a big guy, which would have been maybe a problem for him in Abe. He saw that Abe wasn't going to break. You have to just kill somebody like Abe. Abe wasn't going to break. Abe wasn't going to bend. And then he wasn't the leader. So he didn't have that point of leadership to prove. He could just be that. You know, sometimes some people are like that when they're not the leader. You don't have the rest of the group to consider. So he took out Abe because Abe was the biggest and could prove to be the most problem. Plus, you prove a bigger point being such a small guy and taking out the big guy. You prove a point to your group. You prove a point to that new group of where your mentality is, how strong you are as a leader yourself. Then he took out Glenn. When he took out Glenn, I'm not sure that Negan knew, but he took out just another strong male figure. Maybe he could see along the group as he talked to them, because Negan seemed to be really smart and perceptive. Maybe he could see along the group who Glenn was looking at, because he seemed to know that Maggie and Glenn were together. I guess you could read Maggie's reaction too, but he seemed to know that Maggie and Glenn were together. He seemed to pick up on that. And he took out Glenn, and man, Glenn. He took out Glenn and he crippled the group. He crippled the group in a serious way. Maybe he noticed their stance when they first came in there, when he first rounded them up. Maybe he noticed who was running with Rick, and he could see the power structure loosely. Maybe, I don't know. Negan seemed to be pretty perceptive, so maybe he noticed these things. But anyway, he took out 2 powerful people. So what we saw was Negan showing his strength by removing 2 powerful people from the group, 2 males from the group, and leaving not only females left that, not that they weren't powerful females, but he also left himself more options, possibly, as he took over groups more, Rick's group more. He left himself more options as far as females go, on more wives maybe. It seemed automatically, even though Maggie was sick, he seemed to have had an eye on Maggie, and Maggie was pretty to him sick. And Maggie is pretty, but she looked pretty messed up, sick. You know, but anyway, Negan seemed to notice that. Maybe he's considering that he's got all these guys and you need to provide women for him. So he wasn't going to take out the women because further down, you know, we don't like to admit it, but a woman would be a little easier to break. At least we'd like to think that. At least, let's just say we'd like to think that a woman would be a little easier to break. So he kept his options open by leaving the women there. and leaving Rick with the women to console them. Now, these are all women that will be turning to him as the leader. That has a psychological effect in a different direction. You know, he reduced Rick's army to almost pretty much nothing. He took out the strongest players. I don't know if he knew they were the strongest players, but he took out like the strongest players, and now Rick is literally going to have to rebuild. So we saw Negan flex his muscle over the group in that sense, and then he flexed his muscle on his own group by showing them how smart he is as a leader and how strong he is as a leader, and that he knows exactly what he's doing. He's eliminating any side factors that would trouble his leadership role with these other groups that he's taking over, which is smart on his end. Now, a picture was taken of Glenn and Abe. That guy that took the picture, I want to circle his face. I didn't read farther up in the comic books to see if he plays a role or not, but I want to circle his face, and he just deserves a special something. Don't you think? I mean, objectively speaking, if you're a part of their group, Rick and his group are the bad guys to them. You know, they probably killed some of their friends and all of that. I get it. But we're not part of their group. We're part of Rick's group. And that guy that took the picture and apparently has been taking pictures, oh man, I just would like to string him up special from everybody else. That's just my point of view. Leave a comment on what you think about that. Yeah, but he deserves something special. They took Daryl. So he took away two powerful people in the group, and then they took Daryl. I guess he could see the feralness in Daryl. He could see that Daryl was just a wild card, that if you could break Daryl, Daryl would be a force to be reckoned with. Maybe even someone that he could turn over his group to if anything happened to him, or if he was incapacitated or sick, or even whatever. Even if Daryl just took it over, like how the Sith do. Maybe he didn't mind knowing that someone like Daryl would have took it over. He could see that Daryl was no bitch. There's no bitch in Daryl, you know, and he wanted to see if he could break him first. I'm not going to give any spoilers, just in case there's any people out there, which I really doubt. Nah, screw it, spoiler. Yeah, and we see that in the next episode. They continue, Dwight continues to try to break Daryl. And is Daryl broken? I mean, we see some weird stuff from Daryl, how Daryl moves around that baseball bat and everything. I mean, is Daryl broken, or is Daryl playing the psychological? I mean, Daryl is pretty smart. Has he learned some things from the group? Is he using a little Carol on them, maybe? He's feigning weakness. He's going to kind of get in from the inside. Maybe Daryl isn't the one that's breaking, but Dwight is on the backhand side of that, and Daryl is working his way into Dwight's head, because they do have some kind of dialect between each other, right? And he's telling them why he couldn't become what they're trying to make him, and he understood that Dwight couldn't be who he wanted him to be at that time, and why. Maybe that's the rub there, is turning Daryl instead of Dwight. But the question now becomes, too, a couple episodes in now, are we going to lose Daryl? We would like to think Daryl will be a big death, because people say they'll riot and everything if Daryl dies, but are we going to lose Daryl? And would that really matter now that we have Dwight? Would that really matter? Dwight is badass. We don't want to give him that credit, but Dwight is badass. He's not on our side yet, but Dwight is badass. I don't want to give any more spoilers about Dwight, but you're going to end up liking Dwight in the long run. Even though he killed some of our people and all in the beginning, and how he dealt with Daryl and whatever, you're going to end up liking Dwight in the long run. He's going to be a bitter pill. He's going to be someone that you love to hate, but love them anyway. Trust me when I tell you that. Dwight is a great character. Is there an issue with Simon and Dwight? Simon is the other, I guess, the right-hand man, the funny-looking dude with the hair kind of like mine, that runs the other small group. I don't remember how to describe this guy. I guess I'll put up a picture of him. But yeah, is there an issue between Simon and Dwight? I don't know. From what I can see, they don't seem to interact very easily to me. I mean, that's just my opinion. We haven't really got a lot of interaction from them anyway, but that's just my opinion. I guess we could talk about that as more episodes go on. But leave me what you think about that. What does witnessing, even though he's seen a lot already and been and done a lot already, but what does witnessing the death of Glenn and Abe do to Carl? seeing his father reduced to what his father was reduced to due to Carl. How does that work on Carl's psyche? Or has Carl hardened so much already that it doesn't have an effect really on him? He might have been touched by it, moved by it, but maybe it doesn't really have an effect on him. Remember, Carl had to put down his mom. Yeah, that happened. You know what I'm saying? And he had to give birth to his little sister. Yeah, that also happened. And he had to kill that other young guy from the other group. And Carlos had a few other things that is not normal for children. Even a lot of the children in the world that they're in now wasn't normal for a lot of the kids then. And Carl had to deal with these things. And remember, his father is the leader. So he can't show weakness and just be frail and, like some of the other kids get that space to. Carl doesn't have the room of being young. He has to grow up. He isn't afforded the opportunity to just be the young son of the leader. So what effect does this have on Carl? What does this do to Carl? I don't want to give any spoilers, but Carl in the comic books is badass right now. I kind of do agree with some of the people online that says Carl is kind of weak right now. Carl is kind of weak right now. I still like Carl. I still like the character. I still think he's badass on the show, but I do believe Carl is kind of weak right now, and they could prep him up a bit more. They could put some more balls on him, or give him. No, Carl's got balls. Make his balls bigger. Make Carl's balls grow now. It's nice to see him kissing the girl and all of that stuff, but what about that iconic picture of Carl in the comic book when he has Abe's big machine gun and he's still such a little guy? Whatever happened to that? We didn't get to see that. Our Carl is growing so quick, we didn't get to see that. But you can still give him some big gigantic gun and give him a role or give him a position of some sort like that. But let's see though, I'm not going to front on the Walking Dead writers. These guys are kick ass, so let's see what they come up with. But that's my thoughts on Carl right now. When will Carol and Daryl die? Daryl doesn't exist in the comics, and we now have Dwight, and Carol already died in the comics. So when will Carol and Daryl die? We don't have Daryl in the comic books, and Carol already died way back in the comic books. I don't want to give any spoilers to that. Go check it out. It's a gorgeous story. It's awesome, well written. Go check it out. But when will they die on the show, and how? I kind of feel like Carol in particular's death is coming pretty soon with the interactions with her in the kingdom. I feel like she's going to become like this wild card. I don't want to see Carol die, but I just feel like she's going to become a wild card and she's going to rescue Rick and them in her own way again, but that rescue is going to cost her life. Am I predicting the show? I'm pretty good at doing this. My girlfriend hates when I do this because I always predict things that people don't seem to see. But that's what I see happening with Carol. I see Morgan being gravely injured, trying to stop Carol. I see Carol maybe having a love triangle of sorts between Morgan and the Kingdom's leader. I forget his name right now. I see some kind of a love triangle going on there. There is some kind of relationship. It looked like Blossom. It could be a friendship. I could be wrong, but this is a show. They have to give us certain things, and they usually do. So let's see how that goes. But I see some kind of love triangle blossoming between Carol and I can't forget Ezekiel, Carol, and Morgan. But we'll see as it plays out. Now remember, Carol, I think isn't she the only character? I could be wrong. She's the only character that had no love interest. And then when we thought she was going to have a love interest with the guy in the prison, he gets his cap blown off. So let's see what happens with Carol. Carol went from no Wang to 2 Wangs. Go Carol. Anyway, that's my thought for this episode. I have a few more, but this went on longer than I think I've done anything else. This is one of my first well-written and thought-out things too, so I'm going to edit it now and see how it comes together. Again, this is Sess Videos. Thanks for joining the show. Leave your comments and thoughts on what you think, especially what I said about the love triangle with Carol, Ezekiel, and Morgan, and what I said about Carl. I'm really focused on Carl. I'm a father, so I'm thinking like, how would my kids deal with this if I was in Rick's position? How would any kid deal with this? Leave your comments, likes, dislikes, and leave other ideas. Tell me what you're thinking out there. Again, this is Sess Video. Like and subscribe, and link this video everywhere, man. I'm pushing for 50,000 subscribers. I'm at something like 2,000 subscribers, which is great, and everything I post gets regular views. But I'm hitting for like 50,000 now. I'm going there. I'm going to put in the work. I bought the lights. I got everything going on. I'm going to go there. All right. So like and subscribe again, and I would especially love to hear from other black people that's watching this show. Not nothing racist, but black folks, we don't like to talk about stuff like this. So let's get a dialogue going. Get some people clicking on this, leave some comments. Let me see these beautiful black faces out there, and in particular Jamaican people again. There's some Jamaican people watching the show, and if it's not, let me put you on to it. AMC, Walking Dead, get your cable guides out and find it and check it out. And there's so many episodes, it's up to season, what is it, season 7 now, something like that? There's so many episodes, man, that you can binge watch on a weekend off. You can get your little drink and a little relaxy and binge watch it. Check it out. Recommended by Sess. You know what? In fact, I'm going to do a Walking Dead recommendation. But anyway, this show is going on longer. Sess Videos, I'd love to see you. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Sess Videos, and I'm out.